Have you ever struggled with your horse getting crooked, not being able to have them go straight? Maybe it's a corner of the arena that they tend to lean in or they lean out on. Maybe when you go to work on a circle, whether it's in lunging or riding, you find that you struggle to get the correct bending. Or perhaps you've noticed that your horse seems to hold a lot of tension. They move really hollow, they tend to be anxious, maybe they're really spooky, or you've even had some worse behavior problems start, maybe bucking or rearing or getting really resistant to going forward. In this training, Patrick King is going to take you through a series of fun exercises that can help your horse release a lot of this excess tension, find relaxation, and end up both moving and feeling better. I'm Callie from CRK Training, and I'm here with Patrick King. And Patrick is going to be taking us through this training. Patrick, why don't you start by just give us a little bit of your background in horses and what has led you to doing this kind of work, this in-hand work that you're going to be teaching us?
Boy, that's a short question with a long answer. So my background in horses, I grew up with horses from a pretty young age. I was 8 or 9 whenever I really started riding, getting involved with horses. And growing up, in my family, we had quarter horses, we had Arabs, we had miniatures, we had paint horses, we had, a little bit of everything. And I grew up doing a lot of horse shows, going to shows, and as a kid, the 4-H program and that sort of thing, which was great for exposing me to different disciplines and different mindsets, different thoughts. Over the years, I got very interested in educating young horses. So starting horses under saddle, restarting horses, working with problem horses, that sort of thing. Worked with quite a few of those. For a number of years, my career was focused mostly on colt starting, right? Starting young horses under saddle. And in the span of my career so far, I think I've started about 3,000 young horses under saddle through in-house training, where folks would send their horses to me from all over the country. Demonstrations, I would do weekend demonstrations where I'd start 3, 4, 5 colts, in a day. And just random colt starts, I'd be at a barn maybe teaching a lesson or something, and someone was preparing a horse, and so I would climb on and start the horse. And starting is way more than just the first ride, but I've got, with that experience, there's been a ton of opportunities for me to learn how the horses learn, to learn how they can become accepting of things. And eventually, as the stars aligned and things shaped up, eventually I had a business starting young horses under saddle and retraining problem horses, that sort of thing. Through all of the work that I'd done with the horses, I found relaxation was really a big key piece, and that if we didn't have that relaxation in the mind as well as the body, the horse isn't in necessarily a learning frame of mind. When there's tension in the body, it's just like with us, right? If our body's tense, subconsciously even at the least, we're going to be braced and guarded, and learning or even proper movement for our own bodies isn't going to be possible. And so as I started to discover this, and through many teachers that have helped me find this, it has become so important to me, and as I've noticed that it's important to the horses, that we first seek this relaxation and this kind of unlocking of the body and the mind, so that any of the training we want to do can actually be absorbed. It can be retained, it can be received by the horse. Without that, without the relaxation really being through the body, learning and training just can't really happen as we would want it to. And any athlete knows that, and we've got to face it, our horses, we're expecting them to be athletes. We're expecting them to carry us around and do athletic movements. Even if it's just something as simple as walking down the trail, for the horse, that's an athletic movement because they're not designed by nature to carry a rider. So it's our responsibility as our horse's fitness coach and as our horse's life coach, right, to help them be receptive and to help build that strength in their body without the tension building up.
Well, I'm really excited to go through the training and to see what you're going to be showing us. We pulled out a clip from the in-hand course, where Patrick's going to talk about some of the problems that you've come across with horses in clinics that can stem from having too much tension. And then also he's going to be walking us through some of the basic anatomy of the horse and how this relates to carrying that tension, and how when we can help the horse find the release and find relaxation, it can really improve how they move and how they feel.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll go to that next.
I teach clinics around the world, and I see often with horses some very similar issues that are related to tension in either the mind or the body. We see things like spooking. We see things like resistance to the aids. We see straightness issues. The cousin to that, we see bending issues. We see engagement issues. Those ultimately become collection issues. We often see other behaviors like rearing, bucking, biting even. Lots of these issues are all about tension, often about tension in the mind and the body. Let's see how all that's connected. Tension in the horse's body can ultimately show up anywhere, but the two primary places that we see tension most often in a horse is in the jaw and the lumbar spine. Lumbar spine being the low back region. When we think about releasing tension through the horse's body, we want to think about that spine. We want to think about the top line. If there's tension in the top line, tension through the spine, that's going to change, it's going to inhibit the way our horse moves. In order to keep our horse tension free, it's important that we keep his movement as biomechanically true as possible. And this is where we see issues coming up with tension, is that the tight spots don't allow the energy to flow. I think about the flowing of energy or flowing of movement through a horse's spine like water through a garden hose. If we have a kink in the garden hose here, the water's not going to flow the way we want it to. We talk about the motor being there, the haunches being the motor of the horse, the energy coming from back to front. If we've got a kink there in the hose, you guessed it, the energy is not going to be able to flow through the way that we need it to. We want to think about the horse's top line. When we talk about the top line, most often we're thinking about this space from the ears along the top of the back, along the top of the neck, the top of the back, to basically the top of the hip or the base of the tail. We're thinking about the nuchal ligament and its connections to the body, as well as the supraspinous ligament. Generally, this is what we're talking about when we talk about the top line. One piece that really changed my understanding of the horse is the hyoid apparatus. The hyoid apparatus is a series of small bones, basically in the horse's tongue. All right? We have the stylohyoids. That hangs the horse's tongue inside his mouth, basically. We have the basihyoid. That sits at the base, you can imagine. And then we have two little bones here that we refer to as the ceratohyoids. Ultimately, it goes around a little hyoid bone here. Okay? 5 pieces that come together that we refer to as the hyoid apparatus. That hyoid apparatus connects directly to over 20 individual places in our horse's body through muscular connections, through ligament connections, through nerve connections. That hyoid keys into the nuchal ligament, keys into the TMJ, which is a place in the horse's body that has more proprioceptors than anywhere else. That tells the horse where he is in balance. What that means is if there's tension in the hyoid apparatus, there's going to be tension in the TMJ, which is going to influence the movement because balance isn't going to be necessarily appropriate in those times. That's in the tongue, that hyoid apparatus. It also connects to the sternocephalic muscle, connects to the brachiocephalic muscle that's on either side of the horse's neck, ties down into the sternum. It connects to two individual places at each scapula. There's a connection that comes right back underneath our seat, okay? That's really important to keep in mind. What that tells us is if there's tension in the jaw, tension in the tongue, there's going to be tension basically through the whole body. Through a connection of muscles, every muscle eventually connects to the horse's tongue. This is why it's so important. We refer to the tongue as the key to the top line. If you can keep that tongue soft, relaxed, the jaw softly mobile, you can gain access to the rest of the spine and help the horse to be in better alignment, better balance, better relaxation. Additionally, we know that the jaw and the hind leg rest on the same neural pathway in the horse's brain. Tension here results in tension and short striding in the hind leg. So when we talk about our top line, we're thinking basically, I'm thinking, it's a generalization, everywhere from the tip of the horse's tongue to the heel of the hind feet is part of our top line. That's our full circle of energy. Tension anywhere in that process is going to restrict movement, it's going to challenge bend, and it's going to potentially weaken the horse. When we're doing our in-hand work, we help to release tension through the horse's body by bringing him into better postural alignment, better spinal alignment. As we lengthen the top line, because of our connection, lengthening and reaching in the neck helps to lengthen and lift the back, which allows the hind leg to step deeper underneath the horse. This helps to improve balance. We work first in our in-hand work on bringing relaxation to the horse's body. Relaxation is going to bring us more suppleness through the horse's body. Relaxation and suppleness are going to bring us into better balance. And it's with relaxation, suppleness, and balance that we're then able to develop more strength in our horse. Oftentimes, when we see a horse that carries a lot of tension, we see certain postures that horse will hold himself in. Oftentimes, the neck will be set kind of upside down. The old expression of a horse being stag-necked or ewe-necked, where the under muscles of the neck look enlarged and the upper muscles of the neck are very contracted. One of the first things that we focus on is helping to lengthen that neck, right? I generally joke that a horse has two muscles in their neck, the yes ma'am muscle and the no way muscle. We work to lengthen and strengthen the yes ma'am muscle and soften the no way muscle. Generally, this helps to bring more relaxation through the top line. It's from this released forward telescoping neck that we're able to bring better spinal alignment, better posture, and more biomechanically true movement to the horse. Each time we start with our in-hand work, we want to think about that lengthening and releasing of the top line. That will help our horse come to understand that all of the work we do with him, he can do that with a released posture, with a relaxed posture, tension-free.
I hope you really enjoyed that last clip and got some good insight on how excess tension could be affecting your horse. So we would love to hear from you, and we have a question that we'd like you to put in the comments below.
Yeah, we do have a question for you. So what challenge might you have, or maybe in the past had, with your horse that could potentially be tension related? Maybe tension is the cause of that problem. What challenge is that? Let us know.
And after you answer that question, make sure that you keep an eye out for the next video, because in the next video, Patrick is going to be teaching us some of the basic exercises that you can do with in-hand work that are going to help you get started in helping your horse find this place of more relaxation. So we'll see you in the next video.